Hello and good morning. You are joining me on an absolutely glorious early autumn day in South Wales, and we're setting out on what I've called the Buzzard Way. So it's my own personal track, around 85 miles around the South Wales valleys, and we're going to do it in a series of day hikes. This is part one. We'll do around 20 miles I think. We may go a little bit further depending on how much time we're making during the day, but it's intended to be a walk up and down as many ridgeways as possible in the sort of less popular walking areas of South Wales, and it's called the Buzzard Way because we're going to be up high most of the time. I'm sure we're going to see quite a few buzzards. So it is a complete route that I've devised by myself, so I'm trying to do some more long distance tracks, but I don't want to just do the normal named routes. I want to try and do some original stuff, so that's what we're doing today. So it starts just next to the Bryn in Pontllanfraith. It's a completely circular walk. Will take me right back to the beginning at the end, and as you can see, we're very early on the walk, less than a mile in, and we're already in what feels like quite a nice bit of countryside, although I can still hear the Jewel Cadra in the background. So this is largely going to be off-road, footpaths, commons, ridgeways, and a very nice walk. So I will detail every leg on the website. I'll point out any points of interest along the way, and today's video is just going to be the first 20 odd miles, and hopefully we'll capture some well-worn views for me, but some beautiful walks and beautiful parts of this trail. So we can see right in the distance Mynach Maen, Mynach Twin Glass. So we're going to be up on that long ridgeway from Tumbarlam, sweeping right around, dropping down to Hafodyrynys and back up the other side, and then sweeping all the way up that distant ridgeway before dropping back down, and then crisscrossing the valleys right the way across. So just over 4 miles in now, we're approaching the summit of Pontllanfraith, which is about 381 metres. One of my local hills, I like it up here, it's very, very peaceful. So we're not going to take the kind of shorter route across the hill. We're going to walk right the way across the highest point and then try and cut down through some forestry, which will drop us down to Cwmcarn, up through sort of Cwmcarn Forest Drive, the lakes, then up onto Dumbarton. So we've done the first climb pretty much, just a little bit of ascent to the top here. And then we drop down and we do another big ascent up to Dumbarton. So to get a feel for the length of this circular walk and how it works, the hill opposite with the comms tower is a Pontllanfraith, and that's one of the final hills on the walk. I think we'll hit the top of that at about 78, 79 miles. So we do a huge loop around the valleys and come back up the other side of that hill. And then we follow the ridgeway along to Pontllanfraith and then back to the Bryn. 5.5 miles in now. Spectacular views over to Cardiff, Steep Home, Flat Home, Newport, the sea, the hills and the ridgeways in the distance, which I know this walk will take us on eventually. So we're going to cut left now down into the forest and do our first big piece of descent into the valley floor of Cwmcarn, and then head up to the next hill. definitely one of the high points and the highlights of the first day is Tumbalum. The views up here absolutely spectacular every single time. Again, we can see Mynach Macen, we can see where we've walked from today, and we can see big sections of where we're going to be walking ahead. Sea views, Cardiff, Newport, England in the distance, the islands in between. This is just an absolutely magical hill. On the Miners, it's one of the best hills in South Wales, one of the best hills in Wales, full stop. On an old Bronze Age or Iron Age fort now. It's nice and windy up here, so a nice cool breeze. And we've done, I think, for leg one, the toughest part of the set now up to this point. So we are now going to follow the ridgeway for quite a long way to Mynach Twin Glass, which is even higher than it's at 472 metres, the highest point on this day. So that will be hopefully a nice gentle walk across some nice soft grass, nice clear paths to the next trig point, and then again some long sweeping sections of fairly level ground before we descend down to Hafodyrynys. 17 miles in now. We've come off the country lane, we've come down sort of diagonal footpath, which is really quite overgrown, so I've found the end style which we've come through, but yeah, really overgrown sections. I don't know whether to just stick to the country lane for that section, because a lot of people aren't going to really fancy doing that overgrown section. But it's been a pretty good day. I didn't get set off to about 9 o'clock, so it's kind of approaching 4 o'clock now, so I'm going to probably call it a day when I get down to Hafodyrynys and make my way back and get a lift home. But it's been a really good first day's walking, really good paths almost all the way. Largely sections I've done before many times. There's a couple of sections I've never done before, like short sections, that was quite good. But yeah, it is a really good series of hills and ridgeways, great views. On a day like today with nice weather, the views are amazing. And once you do those first two big ascents, and you get up into Dunbarton, you've got probably a really quite nice, gentle ridgeway walk up to Mynach Twin Glass, and then quite a gentle descent down to where we are now. So dropping down to Hafodyrynys is not going to drop down too far, because Hafodyrynys is sort of on top of a lump between two hills, so there's not too much descent. So when we come back, we will pick up from Hafodyrynys and we'll make our way to try and see if we can get this Buzzard Way to go through the canyon, which is a pretty cool area, but there's been a lot of forestry work there and landowners and stuff may have fenced it off, so I'll probably investigate that beforehand to see whether we can go through there or not. But if not, there's a nice footpath that skirts around that section and gets you back up into the open common land again. So we'll head down Hafodyrynys now, do a little bit more filming just to cover off the last half a mile of this section down Hafodyrynys, and we'll see if we can see anything more interesting on the way down.